How to build long-term wealth using these strategies. Now, before we get started, make sure you like this video, share this video, subscribe, and click that bell icon so every time I bring out a new video, you will be notified right away. And also in the comments below, I have a pinned comment. Step 1, visit my website, themillionairejob.com, if you want to learn how to increase your cash flow so you can start investing in stuff that builds wealth. And step 2 is join my Facebook group. As of right now, it's free. It's just 3 questions. Join it, and what I do is I provide a ton of value in that group, usually before anywhere else. So just answer those 3 questions and you will be approved. So how do you build long-term wealth? So one thing people need to do is you need a mindset to think long-term. So when I think about long-term, I'm thinking about 20 years from now. So what are the stuff that you're going to do to build wealth over, for example, 20 years, not in a year or two? That doesn't work that way. So the first thing you really need, very important, is cash flow, right? So cash flow is very, very important when it comes to building long-term wealth. And a lot of people blow their cash flow on depreciating assets. So a lot of people spend money on expensive clothing, jewelry, or even expensive cars. Instead, what they should be doing is buying stuff that are reasonable. And when it comes to transportation, buying stuff that is around 3 to 5 years old. That way you are buying it at the point where it has depreciated enough so you're not wasting too much money. I never buy a new car because, for example, one of my cars I got as a daily driver is a C43 AMG. Brand new. This thing was $80,000 Canadian, and because I decided to get something that it was 3 years old, I paid $40,000. I saved 50% because I decided to buy something used. So when it comes to stuff that depreciates, like cars, buy used stuff. So how do you increase your cash flow? Well, either you get a better job or you get some kind of side hustle. So for me, how I build cash flow is something called through affiliate marketing. So pretty much this helps me leverage my time better. And what I like about affiliate marketing is I don't have to trade my time for money anymore. So what I do is I build a simple website. I drive traffic to that website and I promote offers that first give value and second that pay at least 50 to 80% commissions. And I've been doing that for the last 7 years, and this is why I've been able to really start investing in stuff that appreciates, right? So the first thing you need is cash flow. Second thing is I would pay off any kind of credit card stuff, or at least pay down quicker. Pay credit cards, or any kind of loans. Now, obviously, if you have like $50,000 in credit card loans, you're not going to be able to pay that off right away. But I would honestly build a plan around that because some of these credit cards are charging 20% per year, right? So annually. So another thing you can do is you can try to pretty much get some kind of line of credit that charges you, say, 8% a year, and pay off all your credit cards on that, and cut up all your credit cards and never use them again, and just use cash, right? Cash. I know what happens is if you're just using cash or even debit, it keeps you in check so you don't overspend, right? So if you pretty much gave yourself a budget, I'm going to spend, I don't know, $100 a week on everything. That's just a figure. That way it will keep you in check that, I have $100. This has to basically survive the whole week, and I can't spend on stuff that is BS pretty much. So for example, if you go to a grocery store and you're going grocery shopping, make a list. Don't buy anything that's not on your list. And it gets tempting, when you're going through the milk and all that in the back, all the junk foods in the front teasing you. But so that's how they get you. This is how stores get you. So just like affiliate marketing, a store like, for example, Walmart has everything in there strategically to get you to buy as much stuff as possible in that store. It is a sales funnel. So we use a sales funnel in affiliate marketing where we drive traffic to the website, and our sales funnel converts those people into sales. They buy our offer. So same thing with Walmart. The traffic there is foot traffic. They walk into the store, and all the important healthy stuff is in the back. So while they're walking through this sales funnel, like cookies and sugary cereal and all this junk is in the way to entice you to buy those things before you get to the back. So this is how brick and mortar stores do it. That's their sales funnel. And even when you're lining up in the actual checkout, you'll see another sales funnel while you're walking to the cashier, or you got a self-checkout thing going. There's all this junk food and useless things that you don't really need but entices you to buy them. And that's what Walmart does, or any kind of big store, or any store in general, if they do it right. So we're just leveraging the digital world for the same process, but instead of trying to sell them junk food for junk food that's useless to them, I am personally offering people an education in the online space that helps to build cash flow and long-term wealth, right? And another thing I recommend is having some kind of savings, at least emergency fund. Get to like, I don't know, 10, like at least 6 months worth of payments, just in case. Just so you have some kind of room if you lose a job or something, you're not going to be financially stressed out. So emergency fund, highly recommend it. I recommend 6 months. If you can't do 6 months, 3 months, whatever you can do. And you really need to start focusing on this stuff. So after this, once this is all checked, right, and you got decent cash flow, which can be from a job or it can be from a business, it doesn't matter. Now you can think about, where do I put my extra cash flow? So instead of buying stuff that depreciates, like cars and stuff, trust me, it's so hard for me not to buy cars because I'm such a gearhead. Every time something new comes out, a new Corvette comes out, I'm like, oh, I want it. But I need to control myself. You have to have discipline, because I know as soon as I buy that thing and I drive it off the lot, it loses 10 to 20% of its value instantly. And that is what keeps me motivated not to buy them, right? So another thing you can do is, so once you have funds to invest, S&P, right? S&P 500 EFT funds, on average, pay 8% return annually for the last, I don't know, it's been like 30 years. And before we get any further, by the way, this is not any kind of financial advice. This is what I personally do. So I'm just providing this as information. You can do whatever you want, take it as information, and from there you can make decisions from researching the market to do your own thing, right? So S&P 500 or even individual stocks, but you got to be careful with the individual stocks. Make sure you do a lot of research on those individual stocks. Make sure you really know that market before you get into that stuff. So I usually go 80% stuff like this and 20% stock stuff, individual stocks, once I know the actual market. Another thing you can do is crypto. You got to be just very careful with crypto because it's so volatile. Again, you need to know what you're doing or you'll lose your shirt, and you don't want to do that. So the safest thing here is EFT funds. 1 year might be 4%, another year might be 15%, and on average, it's around 8% annual return. And my favorite really is real estate, right? So real estate, this goes up depending on where you are, 5 to 10% a year, depending on the market where you live. So where I am, it averages around 10% per year, which is huge. And sometimes it goes up 20 to 30%. So the average is around 10% where I am. And what I love about real estate is it builds money and equity over time. So for example, I purchased a condo, not in my province, but in a different province. I'm in Canada, just so you know. And it was around 400,000. It was a new phase 1. It overlooks the lake, and it was $400,000. I got it, put my down. Here in Canada, you got to put 20% down. And after about 3 weeks, when phase 2 started, that condo already went up $21,000. And now we're in March. I looked at the value; it's up $70,000 because I picked a market where I knew it was growing. And you got to be a little strategic with that. So you're not every property is just gonna boom like that. He's got to be strategic, but that's the beauty of real estate. And as soon as I have tenants in there, once it's all ready to go, they're going to be paying my principal. I'm going to have some cash flow, and the equity I build in that property, I'm going to pull that and buy another piece of property. So the 20% down is not going to come from my pocket anymore. It's going to come through the real estate equity. And basically through all this and a few other stuff, when it comes to like EFT funds, this is how I'm going to build my long-term wealth. I'm going to stop buying stuff that depreciates, only stuff that appreciates. Obviously, if you need clothes, buy clothes, but don't go nuts. Don't buy Gucci or whatever. It's all it is fabric. Sure, it has a nice logo on it, but the cost to build that or make that doesn't cost that much. Even when I look at in the car world, like a supercar, like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, the cost to build those things is not that high. You're paying for the name. And because I was in the car industry, I used to be a car mechanic and I researched the crap out of it, they're not worth it. They're not worth it. The only time I would ever buy one of those things is if I have so much real estate where I can just pull out equity from somewhere and I'm not feeling it anymore. It's just coming out of my property and I can have like a toy like that. But until then, until my goals are not met, I will not be buying a supercar. Even though I could, but I don't want to. I'd rather use, hundreds of thousands of dollars into actual property, right? Or any kind of wealth building assets. So now the next thing is you need to know your number. What would be your number that will have you financially set with the lifestyle you want? So this is a number that you want in assets that pay a certain type of return that will give you the yearly lifestyle. So for example, if you're in EFTs here that pay 8%, if you would be happy with $100,000 a year, you need to put in a roughly over the course of your life, whatever. I wouldn't say life, as much as you can. You need your number will be 1.5 million roughly into these investments at 8%, where you would make a six-figure, pretty much not a salary, but you'll be making six figures out of your actual assets without you working. And that's the goal. So my number is 10 million for now. Maybe it'll change depending on, maybe it'll be more. But right now it's 10 million because even at say 8%, that would be $1 million a year. But let's say I decided just to take half of that and my main principal is still growing 4%. That's roughly 400,000 a year. So 10 million would be actually 800,000 at 8%, and half of that would be 400,000. I'm totally fine with that while I'm building equity and my assets. And for my homes, I want to get this to, my first goal is to have 10 properties, and then from there obviously it'll grow. And my big stretch number is 40 over the next 20 years, but we're just gonna play that year by year and see where we are. Maybe I'll get there faster, or maybe I'll come close. That's all that matters. You got to try. And the whole point of this is to build long-term wealth, generational wealth. And if you have children, you teach them the same stuff. You teach them not to buy depreciating assets and only stuff that make money. Cars don't really make money unless you get some unicorn car. For example, there are some classic cars that if you have had for a while and you stuck with them, they make money. But those are not that common compared to real estate, where depending on your market, it's constantly growing. And if you have tenants in there, they're paying the principal, and then that builds equity, and you can pull equity out of the real estate into buy more real estate. And even with cars, certain cars, for example, if you bought a Porsche, a Lamborghini Countach back in the day in the 80s, and you kept it mint condition, now that thing is worth around $600,000 to $700,000, and I think when it first came out, it's around $140,000. So if it's an appreciating car like that, where you kept it mint and it appreciates, you can also pull equity out of that to buy other stuff, just so you know. But that's not as common. It's a lot easier to get real estate than these classic cars, unless you have so much real estate and you want to do the car thing for fun. So anyway, that is my personal goal. My goal is 10 million in something that pays roughly 8%, and my all-time property is 40 properties over the next 20 years. And then I might flip them. I don't know after that. We'll see when the time comes. So anyway, keep your mindset on appreciating assets. Stop buying junk. Even when you're in stores, do a little bit here and there now. Even if you don't have a ton of cash flow, you can always cut back on stuff that you don't really need, and maybe have a small budget for stuff that sometimes you gotta have fun. I'm not gonna say, oh, just be completely miserable for the next 5 to 10 years, but keep it reasonable. And your main goal should be building long-term wealth, right? So anyway, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like it, share it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and click that bell icon so every time I bring out a new video, you'll be notified right away. And also in the comments below, I have a pinned comment. Step 1, visit my website, themillionairejob.com. If you want to learn how to increase your cash flow through affiliate marketing, in case you have a job, you don't want 2 or 3 jobs going, you want to learn a different skill set that doesn't really trade your time for money, visit my website, themillionairejob.com. We're going to help you set everything up the way I personally do it, A to Z, with one-on-one mentoring. And step 2 is join my Facebook group. Right now I have free. It's just 3 questions, but in the future, if I start pushing a lot of content, a lot of value in there, might charge for it. But as of right now, it's free. So go ahead, do that, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.